All right, so this video is kind of a response to a video that I made myself a little bit over, well, it's just under 2 years ago. Worlds 2017. Some of you guys might remember this video. I've got it up on the screen right now, but I remember TSM went out in group stage, and Brodin and I went back to the hotel, and I said, I don't really know what this video is supposed to be, but I just want to film something talking about how down I feel and confused. And I put it out. It actually got some pretty good viewership, and people really liked it. And the whole context behind that video was this. North America had just failed to meet expectations for so long, and it wasn't even just the fact that we were doing poorly, it's that we would get our hopes up over and over again. You know, with the exception of CLG's miracle run in 2016, we really didn't have any results during, you know, League of Legends esports real life time to speak of. And we kept thinking, this is it, this is it. And the reason why Worlds 2017 hit me so hard was because we had built this TSM, I don't want to say super team, but it was meant to perform at Worlds. If you recall, Worlds 2016, we had this roster. Doublelift and Bjergsen were connected, you know, for the first time ever, and I was like, whoa, we've got these two big stars together. They can actually do something. There was a great deal of domestic success, and going into Worlds, people thought this team is going to do great, and the international teams were also praising them. And then they just flopped out of groups, and it was so disappointing. This was in San Francisco, right at the North American Worlds. Anyway, the TSM recommitted to that roster and said, like, hey, we believe in this roster. And I actually thought that was a really smart thing to do, because it was like, okay, well, they've had this 1 year of experience. Now they're going to go on to 2017. Doublelift took spring split off, but whenever he returned in the summer of 2017, we really were hyped again, right? Going into that world, so many people felt like this was it. And when TSM just failed again, and North America just looked so bad across the board, I remember just thinking, is there any chance we can do this, you know? And there would be Reddit comments and YouTube comments about how North American pros don't care, or the owners don't actually put up enough to try to make it happen, or I don't know, people are just phoning it in, or whatever. There were all these people, and the scary thing to me was I knew that wasn't true. Like, TSM really dedicated themselves, and Andy built this roster that people really believed in, and everybody was just grinding themselves into the ground trying to make this happen. And I just thought, well, if this isn't it, then like, when is this ever going to happen? I just started to wonder if it could ever happen. And people started calling us wild cards. We lost buys in tournaments. It was just so rough. And after that loss, I remember it was the first time where people started calling it a hotline league and saying, hey, maybe North America shouldn't compete on the international stage. Not necessarily because we weren't good enough, but because we had this terrible format situation where we would build up a team over the course of a split. They would go and win finals. We would send them to an international tournament, and we would just get crushed. And you started to worry, people in the industry started worrying, this is behind the scenes, people would say like, hey, are we going to lose fans? Because we've now, like, our story always ends in defeat. We can't find, like, we build up these heroes, they win domestically, and then we just send them and they get slaughtered. And there's no rhyme and reason to it, and it just is rough. And, you know, there's that cheesy definition of insanity. And I started to wonder if our entire region, you know, just like doing the same thing over, expecting a different result, like, is there a chance that we just couldn't ever do this? And so I made that video, and I just was so bummed, you know? I was bummed for Peter, I was bummed for the fans, I was bummed for the owners and the coaches and everyone. And I just thought, you know, is this ever going to happen? Then MSI rolled around last year, and we sucked again. You know, Team Liquid built this roster, and Ole subbing himself out, and we're losing in tiebreakers, and so anyway, Worlds rolled around last year, and Team Liquid again just sucks. But this is when things started to change. Cloud9, you know, nobody thought Cloud9 could get out of groups, right? They had this really difficult group. They make it out. They beat Koreans along the way. And the really cool thing about that Cloud9 story was it wasn't like the superstar lineup. I mean, certainly, you know, they got Jensen, they got Sneaky, but they also had two players that had not been competing in the LCS for more than a split. And somehow they made it to semis. And I think that was incredible, right? Because I started to hope, fans started to hope this amazing story unfurled, I should say, on the tapestry of Worlds 2018. And still, even though, and look, Cloud9's achievement was incredible, I think people could say, well, maybe it was just a fluke, or maybe the meta caught Koreans off guard, you know. And then G2 passed us along the way, Fnatic passed us along the way, made it to finals, and then lost, and China won. And it started to feel like, okay, well, again, like, have we, you know, we had this great story and this great run, and we made history, but has Korea just been replaced with another Eastern superpower in the League of Legends space? And so that is why this MSI just means so much to me, because we've done it now 2 events in a row. Cloud9 with a set of players that were relatively new or were overlooked. You know, Jensen was always playing second fiddle to Bjergsen, Sneaky playing second fiddle to Doublelift. You know, Sven had just been removed from TSM, and these 2 new players, they do amazing. And then this event, Team Liquid, I don't know what happened at the end of group stage, but it felt like something snapped. They beat G2, and then they go off and throw down the world champions in the semifinals in a really great series. I mean, it was 3-1, right? This was not like we snuck out somehow. Like, people were really impressed with what they were doing on that stage. And the fun thing to me is, like, I don't know, I just want everyone to remember, as we watch TL play tonight, that these are 5 players that people have mocked and scorned for a long time now. You've got Impact, who going into this tournament, people were like, you know, it's Impact, he's gonna lose gracefully. He was like this world champion from before. People said he was just here for money. Xmithy, who people still memed. I mean, no one has disputed that he's been a great North American jungler, but people say he's lazy or he doesn't care or whatever. He's also like one of the oldest players playing League of Legends at the moment professionally. You got Jensen, who people called a traitor from leaving Cloud9 after they had just made history. He left to go to a team that people memed wouldn't be able to find international results, and he had just given up, like the team in which he had made crazy international results on. You got Doublelift, who, man, people are huge fans of Peter, but God, they love to flame him too. And the amount of people who, anytime I do an interview with Doublelift where he says, I think we can do something well here, or we can win, or whatever, go in and say like, oh, he sucks, you know. Doublelift, we had a caller on Hotline League who said, like, if TL can't make it out of groups, it's going to be Doublelift's fault, and it'll solidify the fact that he's just an international failure on the world stage. And then Core JJ, who again, like, world champion, but people really said he was just coming here for money, right? That's the whole thing, is like, oh, these imports, they come to North America, they just want money, they're not actually going to try, or they don't actually think they can do well. And I don't know, I just think back to 2015 summer split. CLG won, Doublelift's first win, Madison Square Garden. Darshan is on stage, and he says, we're going to win Worlds. This is a roster who can win Worlds. And everyone laughs, you know? And certainly CLG then flopped. But I think for a long time, the idea that North America could win Worlds was just laughable, right? No one believed it. That was something that wouldn't happen. You know, the players that competed in this region, the most they could hope was like, oh, look, Cloud9 made semifinals. That's crazy. It's history. People just didn't think that it could happen. And now, with us making semis with Cloud9, with us making the finals, and who knows, maybe we'll win tonight. I don't know. I'm not saying the odds are in our favor. I'm not saying Worlds 2019 is going to roll around and everybody's going to be betting big on North America, even if Team Liquid wins tonight. But I do think we finally have hope again as a region. I do think we can be respected on the world stage. I do celebrate the fact that players who people thought were washed up or who couldn't do it, and a region that people thought couldn't do it, has now finally made it to the finals in triumphant fashion over IG, who made it to semifinals at Worlds last year, who's done incredibly well back-to-back at these international events. You know, we can do it now. I believe. And I don't know if I ever truly stopped believing, but there was a time where I certainly wondered. And I think a lot of us did. So I just want to thank the team owners, the players, the coaches, the fans, who really supported North America throughout this whole time, because I think there's a chance that after a couple of these losses, or a couple years ago, people could have just like given up and said it's never going to happen, but people didn't. You know, they kept grinding themselves, and really the players, because I know a lot of people like to say, oh, they play Fortnite, or oh, the players come over here from other regions because they just want to enjoy the weather and the food and the girls and money. But I think this hopefully proves that that's not the case. So anyway, I'm just so thrilled. I'm just happy it finally happened. And who knows, we might lose tonight, but at this point in time, I'm just thrilled that we're a contender on the world stage. Anyway, that's my video. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and looking forward to seeing how things go. Best of luck to Team Liquid tonight. And by the way, grats to EU, because they've always been a little bit ahead of us, and they might win tonight, but it's awesome to see them rise up as well. We are no longer just second fiddle to China and Korea. Thanks for watching.